Today we're going to be talking about biology. It's week 4, and our objective today is to understand what biology is, the characteristics of living things, and the basics of cells. So let's get started. All right. First things first, biology is the study of living things. It's the study of life. That can go from bacteria to huge animals, anything in between. All living things, all living organisms have 7 characteristics that make them living. The first is that all living things are made of cells. The second is that that all living things use energy. The third is that something must be able to grow and develop. It must do the fourth thing, which is respond to stimuli. The next is maintaining homeostasis, which is kind of just trying to find the balance and keep it there. And the sixth is reproducing. And the very last one is that it must have DNA. Before we play this, we're gonna play a game, which is living or non-living. I'm gonna present you guys with some objects, and then you're going to say whether it's alive or whether it's non-living. Um, to clarify, going back to the 7 characteristics that make something living, if something can't fulfill every single one of these categories, then we would classify it as non-living. So let's start our little game. Do you guys think a robot, like the one I have right here, would you guys call that living or non-living?
Not living?
Yes, that is correct. Okay, let's go to the next one. What about a tree? Nasi, you raise your hand.
It's a living thing.
Yes. Okay. What about bacteria?
Living?
Yes. And then what about water?
Non-living?
Yes, yes, yes. Good job, good job. So, you guys got all them right. And you probably already know this since I just, said it. But the reason why things like bacteria and trees are living, even though we might not initially think of them as living things because, we don't really interact with them on the personal sense, but they do fulfill all of these characteristics. Um, I know during Edith's first lesson, you guys also learned about calling things abiotic and biotic, and some of those similar principles also apply. Okay. Next, we're going to be talking about cells. What are they? So cells are essentially tiny building blocks of life. They're the most basic and fundamental unit of it, and they are structures that enable, as it says on the screen, vital to carry out vital functions in whatever organisms they're a part of. Going back, here's a diagram. This is a diagram of a cell, and we're going to be getting into the things that are inside of it. So cells are composed of several fundamental components. They have, what's it called? Sorry, my screen is acting up. They have different parts, and they're called organelles. And each part, as we can see here, they each have a special job. I know that I have a lot of things listed here, but we're really only going to go over what I like to consider the main 5. So the first is the cell nucleus. We talked about nuclei a bit more whenever I was talking about matter, and also whenever I was discussing physics. But the nucleus houses the DNA, which is the genetic coding of the organism. It is located, nuclei, which is just the plural of nucleus. They're located in the center of eukaryotic cells. I know you guys probably don't know what eukaryotic means, but we're going to get into that a little later into the presentation because there are two different types of cells that we're going to be talking about. But regardless, it functions basically as the brain of the cell. It holds the DNA, and its primary function is to safeguard it, is to protect it. Um, the next one that we're going to talk about is the cell membrane. And what this does is it protects the cell. It acts as kind of a wall that lets certain things in and blocks certain things. As it says here, surrounds the cell, and it is what people call a selective barrier. Another word for selective barrier would be semi-permeable, which just means that it lets certain things in and it blocks certain things. Its primary role is to regulate, as I said, what comes in and out of the cell. The third one is the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. It makes energy for the cell. It's present in most eukaryotic, not most, but all, it's present in your eukaryotic animal and plant cells. And its primary function is, again, energy generation through a process called ATP, but we're not going to get into that today. Fourth is vacuoles. They are membrane-bound organelles, which kind of just means that they oh, I explained it actually in the previous ones, but they are found in plant cells and some animal cells, not all. Their job is to store nutrients, water, ions, and waste materials. They're also involved in the digestion of certain substances, and they serve as a defense mechanism against things like toxins and other similar substances. And last, we have chloroplasts, which are only found in plant cells, not in animal cells. And this is what allows plants to carry out photosynthesis, which is whenever plants convert solar energy into chemical energy, which is whenever they take the energy that they get from the sun and turn it into food for them. Now, since we were talking about the important parts, you guys might be wondering what's the difference between plant cells and animal cells? And there are really two main differences. The first is that plant cells contain a cell wall, and animal cells do not. And then the second thing or defining factor being that plant cells have chloroplasts and animal cells don't. Okay. I said previously, which is what we're getting into now, that there are two different types of cells. The first is prokaryotic, and the second is eukaryotic. The difference between the two really is that prokaryotic cells do not have a defined nucleus. They don't have a nucleus, which is the first organelle that I talked about. Going back, I'll just go back to show you guys. Oh, okay. They do not have a nucleus, which means that the DNA is not in one certain part of the cell for prokaryotic cells that don't have a nucleus. It's just spread out in the cell. And the second kind is eukaryotic, which they do have a nucleus, and that's what just defines the two of them. I have some examples here, but you guys don't really have to know this part yet. Just keep in mind the difference between the two. So, organisms that are prokaryotes are single-celled organisms that are made up of prokaryotic cells, meaning that they lack a nucleus. I have some examples here of prokaryotes. But whenever you think of prokaryotes, I just want you guys to think of things like bacteria, things like different, diseases like E. coli, things like that are made up of prokaryotic cells, meaning that they are prokaryotes. Then we have eukaryotes, which are organisms that are made out of eukaryotic cells, and the definition I have here is that organisms whose cells contain a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Some examples of eukaryotes are animals, plants, fungi, and us. Humans are eukaryotes. And then I just have another diagram here of or example really, of a eukaryotic cell. Moving on, I just wanted to talk about growth, reproduction, and response, which I touched on earlier, which each of these is a characteristic that an organism or that an organism must have to be considered living. And I just really wanted to, harp on the fact that living things grow as time passes, they reproduce, and they respond to external stimuli, which just means external forces, really. The first is growth. Some, clear examples we can see of that is trees or plants in general. They grow over time, and so do we. As you can see, I have a picture of, human growth. Um, Reproduction. Um, Whenever we think of reproduction, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, human reproduction, babies. Maybe we think of it in animals, but it also occurs in things like bacteria, which we do classify as living. Response. How do living things, or not how do, but living things do respond to their environment? Some examples of this are if it's cold, you shiver to try and warm yourself up. And if you're hot, you sweat to cool yourself down. And these are all examples also of homeostasis and trying to maintain homeostasis, which is also another characteristic of a living organism. Another example of response is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before, but whenever a plant is placed near sunlight, it will bend or grow towards that light, which is another example of responding to external stimuli, external changes. So that was our really fast, actually, lesson for today. I wanted to focus a lot on the practicing part because I'm going to have you guys unblick it soon. But let's answer some questions for the exit ticket. And if you guys need me to go back to any of the slides, I think I went through it this kind of fast, but if you guys need me to go back to any of the slides, just ask and I'll do it. So yes, let's do our exit tickets. Okay, what is biology the study of?
Um, the 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 biology study is like living things growth.
Yes. Yes. Biology is the study of life and living things. Yes. Okay. Next question is, can you guys name me three of the characteristics of living things?
Um, is it like reproduce
Yeah, that's one of them.
and the I think like the second I think it's respawn, but I don't know the last.
Mm, I see what you're trying to say. How I'll give you guys an example and you can tell me like what that's like what characteristic that's representing. You said reproduction, which is nice. So let's say our example for reproduction is, a human having a baby, right? Whenever that baby grows, what's a characteristic that, resembles that? I kind of said the word. Julie?
I think I know, and then I think I know one is, I don't know what the name is, but it's like living. I forgot living cells and like in
Oh yeah, yeah,
some
yeah. That's one of them.
bacteria
Having
in cells.
yes, having cells. That is one of them. Yes, yes. You guys have two so far. Can you guys just think of one more?
I think I got the word. Like I think it starts like stimule something.
Stimuli? Okay, okay, yes, yes, yes. Responding to stimuli. Okay. You guys did get three. Um, Stimuli is the word you can use to describe it, but I guess an easier way to just explain it is just responding to their environment is the characteristic. But yes, you guys did name three characteristics. They're not the ones that I have listed here, but there are seven. So there is some options for you guys to choose from. Okay, what is the smallest unit of life?
A cell.
Yes, you guys are on a roll. Okay. Can you guys name just one? There are two, but if you guys can just name me one difference between plant and animal cells. To give you guys a hint, one of the differences is how is the thing that allows plants to take energy from the sun and turn it into their own energy. I don't know if you guys remember what that is called.
Um, I don't like. I don't know what you said, but like I know the difference. Like one difference between um a plant cell and an animal cell.
Okay.
So plant cells they have a cell wall,
Yeah, that is.
and
Oh, yes.
animals they don't have a cell.
Yes, that is. Yeah, that's one of them. Yes, yes, yes. The word that I was describing though, I thought that one would have been the easier one, but you did answer the question. You guys got it right. The word though, is chloroplast. That's what allows plants to turn the sun's energy into energy for themselves. Okay, what part of the cell makes energy?
Um, you said it earlier. Like it says it.
I was well, okay. Specifically, I'm
Does
saying
it
makes
does
energy.
it start with a M?
Yes, it does.
I know what the I can't
I know.
pronounce it.
It's
It's
Okay, okay.
it's
Yeah.
MitoChond
Mhm.
um RAIA.
Yeah, you are correct.
um
It's pronounced mitochondria.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you guys. I know I said earlier that chloroplasts, I guess the way I phrased it was wrong, but chloroplasts, they don't make energy by themselves. They convert energy. They take energy from the sun and then they convert it into their own kind of energy. So that's why chloroplast isn't the answer to this question. But the sole purpose, or the main purpose at least, of the mitochondria is to create energy for the cell.
um is the like the the word that starts with the M, like isn't it called ATP?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I didn't have that as a question. You guys are so good.